thousands of hours.
That's right.
Of film.
Yeah.
But then you have Kash Patel.
Yeah.
Saying no, there's nothing.
Not only obviously well known that he was a notorious pedophile, evil guy, but also that he was working for Israel. We are absolutely 100% going to find some very uncomfortable things out about his relationship with Israel.
So Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon recently pinpointed Epstein's many connections to Israel. And in this clip, Tim Dillon explains why he thinks this will come out to the general public too. They also discuss some of the inconsistencies related to Epstein's past, his mysterious death. He didn't kill himself, by the way, and other things. So let's see what they have to say. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Epstein accusers put pressure on Congress to release the files.
This happened about an hour ago. They were on Capitol Hill giving a 2-hour press conference. A bunch of accusers, I think for the first time publicly, showed their faces, made some statements. And they said that they're going to compile a list since they know the names themselves.
Interesting. I was on, whoa.
By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene's been heroic on this.
Look at this.
By the way.
Look at this quote. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey.
Yeah.
One of 9 female Epstein accusers who appeared at a news conference on Capitol Hill. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom. Of course, those are the type of people you grab, right? When a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me I could make $300 to give another guy a massage. Wow. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare.
People need to go to jail.
Fuck.
I mean, this is the reality. People need to go to jail.
Holy fuck. Okay, hold on. Another Epstein accuser, Annie Farmer, alleged she was 16 in 1996 when she was flown to New Mexico to spend a weekend with Epstein. 16.
Yeah.
And Maxwell, and was assaulted. Her sister, Maria, was also assaulted there, Farmer said, and sensitive photos of the sisters were stolen by Epstein. The incident was reported to authorities. Wow. What a fucking psycho that guy was. 14.
Yeah, he said it, and to be clear, this was part of a joint press conference between Ro Khanna, Thomas Massie, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, standing alongside of the victims, the actual Epstein victims, who were girls molested by Epstein. You know, these are the people calling for the actual release of the Epstein files, and people have been quick to attack these victims, by the way, and to say, hey, they're not naming names. Well, guess what happened when Virginia Giuffre named names? Her life was ruined. She was sued, and they might have killed her too. She died mysteriously a few months ago. And you're just supposed to ask these girls to do the same. They might do so anonymously. So what Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene have offered is to read out a list of names of people involved in this child sex trafficking ring to the congressional floor, and also press for the actual release of the Epstein files, not these red herring releases that the DOJ is still continuing, which is the release of information that was already out. The same thing that they did with Binders Gate, if you remember, back in February or March.
Well, I think it's going to come out. I think it's going to come out. I think it's going to come out that he was a, not only obviously well known that he was a notorious pedophile, evil guy, but also that he was working for Israel. I mean, I think this is going to come out.
And so
this is what I've been, what I think, but I also believe is somewhat well known and not a huge secret.
Isn't it? It's the whole thing is very strange that you have a pedophile who's also connected to all these insanely wealthy and powerful people, and then does something where he gets all these people together for parties, and then supposedly has all of this information and all this, and then you have Pam Bondi saying there's thousands of hours of film. But then you have Kash Patel saying, no, there's nothing. There's nothing, and he killed himself.
We are absolutely 100% going to find some very uncomfortable things out about his relationship with Israel. I mean, this is not going to be a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm working, but there's going to be enough circumstantial evidence that's going to connect him not only to our own government, which I imagine that the CIA was involved as well, but I think it's going to connect him to, I mean, this was such a goof.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's right. There is already a lot of circumstantial evidence that points to his connection to Israel, and they're right. They've changed the story a million times about what existed pertaining to the investigation and not. But the facts are the facts. They're well documented. If you don't believe this, read Whitney Webb's great book, One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 2, talks about a lot about this. It's where I learned a lot of it from, is that Ari Ben-Menashe, the former Mossad agent, and we know he was an agent because he produced his passport contradicting claims of the Mossad that he was just a low-level operative. He said that Epstein revealed that he was conducting a blackmail operation. We know that Epstein had connections with 4 Israeli prime ministers, including Ehud Barak, who spent prolonged periods of time at his home in Manhattan, the home that he was just gifted coincidentally by Les Wexner for ostensibly no reason to be Les Wexner's money manager, even though he didn't personally manage Wexner's money. We know that he was the protege of Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. We know that there were reports from the witnesses that, of the victims actually saying that they were, confronted in a way that they were to reveal information about the people in power that they were trafficked to. So there are many different connections in this regard that it just behooves the question of how deeply connected this was to a blackmail operation on behalf of Israel. So I have to side with Tim on this. It seems like all the circumstantial evidence points in that direction, but I don't think it's going to come out. That's the only place I disagree with him on. They're covering this thing up, and they have for a long time.
These are their files that they're holding up for everybody. The guy with the cowboy hat's got to go. Who's that guy?
I don't know, but I think this
is ridiculous, sir.
These are old files too, and they did this.
That fucking cowboy hat's ridiculous. Just holding up the thing with it, wearing a cowboy hat. We're here for American justice. The Epstein files, phase 1.
That's true. I don't know if that's Cat Turd or which influencer that is. I know most of the rest of them, but I don't know who that one is.
There's more. Listen, there's a reason that none of this has come to light, and there's a reason that they're dragging their feet on releasing this.
Yeah, because the amount of people that are powerful.
There's so many people ensnared by this, but also the other thing is, like, I think it is going to be an uncomfortable, and more than uncomfortable perhaps, with if it comes out that our ally, very close ally of America, was having this happen.
Yeah, very close ally. Let's put that in quotes, at least, at the very least, because America doesn't derive any benefit from the U.S.-Israeli relationship, and Israel essentially doesn't either, even though it thinks it does. To get bankrolled to conduct a genocide and wage war against your neighbors. Well, look at how much public opinion is turning against Israel right now. And, this doesn't serve U.S. interests at all. So calling them an ally is unfortunate. But I get what he says. This brings up the hypocrisy of this, that if Mossad was involved in this, like they were in previous spy operations on the United States, like in the case of Jonathan Pollard, who served out his time, and Netanyahu tried to use blackmail, a Lewinsky tape with Bill Clinton to try to get him released early. If those are the signs that this shows, it would be embarrassing to the Zionists, embarrassing to AIPAC, and embarrassing to the Israel Firsters. That's why it's not coming out.
Obviously, it's not the Israeli people. It's not even the Israeli government per se, but it's a group in whatever you want to call it, the Israeli deep state or their intelligence community, that was using Jeffrey Epstein as an access agent to get access to people and leverage on people.
Do you think that he was a pedophile to begin with? And they go, this is our guy because he's fucked up?
Absolutely.
And then they have him run things. But how do you get a pedophile that can keep his shit together?
All evidence is that he was a pedophile, going way back to the Dalton school, in which he would, as a teacher, hang out with his students, and several of them were creeped out and testified that they were creeped out to that. And that seems to precede his foray into the intelligence world. And we know, again, about this because of all the connections made by people researching this case. In the 80s, he had connections to Adnan Khashoggi and Douglas Leese. They were running arms trafficking during and including Iran-Contra. So this evidence is all out there. It's well known. and just all the connections haven't been made so definitively as to say that this is true beyond the shadow of the doubt. But the U.S. government hasn't, revealed any, substantiation about why, no, there was nothing to see here either.
You find one that's good.
Well, he couldn't, obviously.
He couldn't keep his shit together, but, the 90s were a different time. There's no camera phones.
That's true.
There's no internet.
That's true.
You can intimidate reporters. Right. You can intimidate DAs.
Right. Or you can just whack people.
This is a Vice article from 2017 about the D.C. Madam I found earlier, and I thought this was interesting. They tried to bring the info out later after she had died already. Yeah, and her attorney said the records could impact the presidential election.
What?
The Supreme Court denied the applications.
Wait a minute.
They tried to FOIA the FBI, IRS, and the Postal Inspection Service since they were involved too, because it was a mail thing. She was in Northern California, and they barely sent any info.
And so this was in 2000 what?
17.
Wow.
I think that's when the article was.
There's no presidential election.
Supposedly Jeffrey Epstein said to his brother or to someone, if people knew what I knew, both candidates in the presidential election would have to step down.
I mean, that checks out. He had connections to basically everyone of power and prominence in both parties. It seems like he donated personally more money to Democrats, but he was a good friend of many Republicans at times, including Trump. Their relationship seems to have broken off around 2004, depending on the source, over Epstein hiring former employees, including Virginia Giuffre, from Mar-a-Lago, and a dispute over property that the two were in a bidding war over.
That's a quote. Jamie can find that.
Wow.
Also, wasn't he on the phone with his mother, in quotes, before he died?
Who?
Epstein, in prison.
What?
They said he was on the phone with his mother for an hour.
How's he get on the phone while he's inside the jail?
Yeah, his mother's dead, too.
Was the thing real about the trust of all the money?
Wait a minute. What are you saying? His mother was already dead?
Yeah.
Before that?
Yeah.
So who's saying that he was on the phone with his mother?
So maybe he was on the phone with someone else.
Yeah, but there's a lot of misinformation that gets attached to true stories to make the stories goofy.
Well,
this is the whole Comet Pizza thing.
Disinfo.
Yeah, this is the Pizza
Something's
thing.
weird with that, though.
Oh, fuck yeah, something weird with that.
Why is a
documentary.
pizzeria? I saw that.
Yeah. What?
The documentary,
fuck?
right?
Yeah. Just.
I mean, the Pizzagate allegations were kind of the right-wing version of QAnon, or Blue Anon, I should say. It was, related to QAnon in a sense, but in a way, it's aged better than Russiagate, because we do know that pedophiles are above the law in the United States, including Epstein and including Maxwell, especially if Maxwell's now pardoned too, and Epstein getting sweetheart deals and being protected in every imaginable way and no one else going down for it. We can see why Pizzagate actually did age better than Russiagate.
The absolute
This
facts.
is just a summary from AI, but
unmonitored phone call to a girlfriend, though he told prison staff that he was calling his mother, who had been dead for 15 years. Key details from the report include the call was a violation of policy on the evening, excused himself from a meeting with his lawyers to make a call. You could just leave. You can just make a call in prison? I thought you have to wait in line for the phone. The Office of the Inspector General found that a supervisor at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York allowed Epstein to make an unmonitored call, which was a violation of the Bureau of Prisons policy. Deception was successful. To get permission for the unmonitored call, Epstein told prison staff that he wanted to call his mother, who had died in 2004.
Why not? He's gotten away with everything else through the whole course of his life before this. So why not use that excuse and have it work? Just like the sweetheart deal, despite 40-plus witnesses in 2006 or whatever it was in Florida, where he doesn't get any prison time, he pleads guilty and gets a 6-day-a-week work release program, 12 hours a day. He can bounce between properties, etc. There's just so many absurdities to this case that it had to have been a cover-up on the highest level, and he had to have been some sort of intelligence asset.
Said he called a girlfriend. The call was not properly logged or recorded. How convenient.
Nice.
The call's content is unknown. Call was unmonitored and unrecorded. Investigators cannot determine its content. Oh, why would you determine the content of a guy who's involved in the most
why would you?
high-profile investigation?
They had to get rid of him. There was no way to keep him around. And if he is still alive somehow, I don't know where he is, obviously, but there's a possibility he's at Wexner's compound.
And then there's the fucking guy that he was sharing a cell with.
That guy, creepy guy.
Gigantic, muscular guy who killed a bunch of people.
Could have killed him. He could.
And by the way, apparently that guy was mysteriously moved from his cell like the day before he died, by the way, mysteriously, coincidentally. There's been like no clarity in that because William Barr, the guy whose jurisdiction that Epstein was being held under, who is the son of Donald Barr, the guy that gave Epstein his first job, seems to have not even entertained the possibility that there was any foul play here whatsoever. You know, that adds into it too. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many crazy aspects and angles to this case. None of it's explainable through the prism of anything that we would know and understand as a regular person that's not above the law.
They killed him. They might have killed him. They might have killed him. But there are tapes, I think, that are missing a minute. They're missing time.
Oh, they found the new minute today. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
The missing minute, they conveniently found it today. Did you hear about that, Jamie? You didn't hear? I'll send it to you.
Well, it wasn't a missing minute, to be clear about this. There was almost 3 total missing minutes. I didn't see everything that they released 2 days ago, but maybe one of it was a minute of the 3 minutes that was missing, and it still wouldn't provide clarity because it still doesn't show Epstein's cell or anything of note whatsoever. That whole thing was absurd. And to be clear, even his lawyers think that he didn't kill himself. Even his closest lawyers that actually thought he was in good spirits recently. He had no reason to believe that he wasn't going to be left off the hook like he had his entire life, by the way. And Michael Baden, probably the most famous forensic anthropologist in the world, inspected his body, did an autopsy, and found that 3 bones were broken in his neck, 2 of which don't generally break on a hanging, by the way. Just adding this information to the mix, too.
Missing minute.
Yeah, they found it. They know where it is now. So
now
worries.
It's good.
Yeah, I had heard that they knew where it was the whole time. They didn't want to. Here, I got it up, Andre.
You got it? They knew where it was the whole time. They just didn't want to tell you. Release of missing minute of Epstein video contradicts Bondi's cameras stop recording. Oh, no. Contradicts Bondi's claim. Video taken outside Epstein's cell on night he died as part of new materials released by the House Oversight Committee. Why do you have that new minute set aside? What's that?
It's a new minute. It's Kill Tony. You got to do a new minute. It's Epstein's new minute.
Kill Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's actually funny that it contradicted Bondi's earlier claim, if you remember that prominent press conference in which they discussed this after that farcical memo got released that said, hey, nothing to see here. Epstein wasn't working for intelligence, no blackmail, no clients, etc. Bondi said, hey, this goes back to 1999. The cameras in that facility erased a minute every single night. Well, they somehow produced this minute contradicting her claims, like so many of her claims were contradicted before. Like she had the client list on her desk to review for release. Then she said, oh, no, I was just talking about the case in its totality later, saying that there were thousands of hours of Epstein molesting children. And then when pressed upon that later, after the cover-up started, she goes, no, that was just child porn. It had nothing to do with Epstein. Epstein wasn't in it. So there's so many absurdities here. All signs do point to the fact that he was an intelligence asset of some kind, probably a access asset, as Tim called it, properly so, to get leverage over people of prominence in another country. If we're looking at Israel here, and again, he had ties to Ehud Barak, a former head of the IDF intelligence apparatus in Israel and former prime minister, and other connections that I've already articulated. But what do you think? Let me know down below. Is Tim Dillon and Joe Rogan right about this? Did Epstein work for Israel on behalf of Israel? Was there a blackmail operation on behalf of Israel? What are the things that we most need to know about Epstein still? Is there any smoking gun in your mind about what could come forward, or if a whistleblower will come forward? Let me know down below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, also subscribe to Joe. Thanks for this awesome interview, and please consider supporting the channel. If you click the join button below, you can help support my channel, and in return, I'll give you all of my members only videos that aren't live before they go live to the general public. You can view them if you support the channel in that way. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.